All right, now we go to one of our favorite names here on the list, Paul with the great car ideas. He wants to know, is it reasonable to say the season is a resounding success if we win tomorrow night?
Okay, so I was going to say tonight.
Tonight.
I wasn't sure if this was an old question and he was referring to Saturday night.
No, this is just about, I guess he meant tomorrow. Meaning whether or not we make the playoffs doesn't matter, but a strong, complete finish as a response to us falling apart will reinstall faith in the importance of the culture.
Okay, so I actually want to hear your answer to this first. Because I think like I know what my answer is. I more or less said it on Saturday. I'm curious what your answer is.
Resounding success, no. If they make I mean, it's hard to say a rebuilding team being in this spot. If they make the playoffs, like that, yeah, you can't say it wasn't a success, even with the bumps along the way. An 8-game losing streak is still an 8-game losing streak, and 5 or 6 of them were against fucking terrible teams. Like, I know they bounced back, and that's great. It's good to see they didn't quit. And there was the report, either at intermission or one of the stoppages, the rinkside report. Like, the Flyers heard the noise that they think we quit. They think we gave up on this coach, and we wanted to make sure, like, yes, we hit rock bottom with a 9-3 loss to Montreal, but we want to make sure that's not the narrative going into the offseason. That's great. I'm not going to call it a resounding success, though, when you had an 8-game losing streak with, like, controlling your own destiny and everyone fell apart. Is it good to get the information you got, even if it's not information you like? Sure. There's a lot of positives to take. I'm not shitting on this season. There's a lot of positives to take out. There's a lot of information that you gathered. Resounding success, though, no. You can't be in a playoff spot for like 120 days, fall apart against the worst teams in your conference, and be like, oh, yeah, good job. Like, I'm glad you bounced back. That changes my attitude about what maybe this offseason even needs to be a bit. But resounding success, no, not unless they make the playoffs.
So I'm kind of taking a little bit of a different approach to this. I agree. I actually have the same answer in that I don't think I would consider it to be a resounding success. However, I do, and I said this on Saturday, I already consider this season to be a success. Regardless of whether they lose in Game 82 or not, I think this was a successful season in terms of them exceeding expectations, in terms of a lot of the things that happen with individual players and development, in terms of the fact that it does not appear that it was all for naught because they just, after, a strong season, they all just up and quit on the coach in the final 10 games of the year. I think the season has already been a success. The reason, however, why I would say I wouldn't call it a resounding success, it's more because I am still viewing this through the lens of the rebuild. And there were enough things that didn't go their way from a rebuilding standpoint that keeps me from calling a resounding success. Like, I'll start out with like the elephant in the room. They lost their franchise goalie because he's being charged with something truly horrible. Like, Carter Hart will probably justifiably never play another game for the Flyers again. That is a legitimate thing that hurts the rebuild because either you don't, Carter Hart, I think at the very least, was a solid starting goalie. Now you have a goaltending question. If Carter Hart did not get charged with sexual assault and turned out he had nothing at all to do with this, you either would have a legitimate solution in goal, whether it's a significantly above average solution in goal, I don't know, but a solid enough goalie, or you could have traded him away for significant assets. Now you have an entirely new question that you have to answer in terms of who is going to be the goalie of this team in 3 to 4 years when you've hoped they turn the corner. That is a legitimate thing that makes this rebuild tougher. Another thing, and again, I'm not in any way, shape, or form giving up on Jamie Drysdale. Cutter Gauthier situation. You had 2 blue chip prospects in Matvei Michkov and Cutter Gauthier. Now you have 1 in Matvei Michkov, and you have Jamie Drysdale, who, while I still like the talent, he's a project. He doesn't have the same, like, holy shit, they might have a, like, Gauthier could come in and as a rookie score 40. Do I think it's going to happen? No, but like it could. He is of that degree of raw talent. I'm not saying that Drysdale is a bust. I'm not saying that this necessarily definitely hurts the rebuild, but it does add more questions to the idea of, do they have enough high-end talent? I am more confident right now that Cutter Gauthier will be a high-end talent player than I am confident that Jamie Drysdale will be a high-end talent player. Not saying I'm writing him off. I'm just saying I have more confidence in Gauthier's ceiling than I do Drysdale's ceiling, and that hurts the rebuild. It does. You can't sugarcoat it. It hurts the rebuild. So it's those sorts of things. The fact that Joel Farabee didn't finish out the season strong, because I think he's a big piece of this. Like, there are other things that keep me from saying this season was a resounding success, because I'm still looking at the season in terms of judging success based on how I think it furthers the rebuild. I think it was successful because there are a lot of good things. I think that, there are key, like Tyson Forrester's development, love it. Bobby Brink, the fact that he exceeded expectations this year, also love it. Like Cam York's development, great. Travis Sanheim, the fact that it doesn't necessarily appear that contract is going to be a massive albatross, love that. I know Couturier's second half wasn't great, but in the first half, he showed the potential that his contract might not be a devastating albatross. There were a lot of things that, from the standpoint of, is this rebuild going to work, have me willing to already call the season a success. A resounding success, not willing to go that far because there were enough bad things that happened for me to remove that qualifier from my description of the season.
Absolutely. No, and I like that we tackled both the big picture and just like this individual season kind of in a vacuum there.
We all city like the mayor.